Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Well, so today I'm making a card. One of my lady friends had her gallbladder out, and I thought I would send her a little note just thinking of her. I didn't know about her surgery until a couple weeks after the fact, so, get well isn't really appropriate, so I just thought I would do more of a thinking of you card. So I'm going to be using some new rubber stamp Tapestry stamps, and you're probably saying to yourself, wait a minute, I thought they were peg stamps. Yes, they are, but they now have a new red rubber line, and we're going to be using one from the Just Add Flowers collection, and I've cut these out, and this is my storage that I'm using for them, and I'll link a video that I show you how I did my storage up in the corner there. I'll give you the little eye that you can go right to that video. And then I'm also using their other stamps that are what you would expect, and these are peg stamps. My friend Elizabeth said that I let my stamps roll around and I lose them when I'm doing videos, so I started thinking about this star ice cube holder that I have and how it holds everything upright, and I'll be able to see exactly what stamp is what and when I need to use it. So that's what I'm going to be using for my array of stamps. And I'm also going to be using a sentiment from Simon Says Stamps, Flowers on My Mind, and it says, "You've been on my mind," which is obviously the point of our card. So we're going to start out using the MISTI. And the thing that's great about this new line of stamps from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, you might know them from pegstamps.com. Lindsay the Frugal Crafter uses them and does some lovely videos, and I'll link her video as well because she probably has a promotional code for these, and I want to make sure that you can benefit from that. And they're brand new. September 1st was their launch date, so it's not like they've been out a while. This is new to everybody, so I thought I would show you how I'm using them and talk a little bit about them so that you can get an idea of how they work for me. So I like them for the MISTI because you can't use peg stamps in the mix, the traditional peg stamps with your MISTI, and I love my peg stamps, but I want the versatility to also use the MISTI. So these new red rubber stamps allow me to do that. Now I don't put that foam backing on my red rubber stamps because I don't feel the need for it. I don't need it with my MISTI, and all I do is I put a little bit of Aleene's Tack It Over and Over on the back of my red rubber stamp, and it adheres perfectly to my MISTI, and then I can go from there. And I want to put my sentiment on. I'm going to use just a piece of pink paper and put my sentiment on that while I'm thinking about it. Hopefully I'm still in the picture, because I keep having that big nightmare where I'm not in the picture. Well, no, not where I'm in the picture. Oh, now I'm confused. Lost my stamps. How hard would that be? Oh, there it is. Jeepers creepers. Where'd they go? You never know. Okay, you've been on my mind. Anyway, when you use the MISTI and you're using red rubber stamps, I actually think they work better than these acrylic stamps because the red rubber stamps are so deeply etched, at least the ones from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, Peg Stamps, whichever name you go by. Their stamps are deeply etched, and you get a really good design. You really get a good impression. Sometimes when I use these clear acrylic stamps, I don't get the impression that I get with the others, and I'm disappointed with it. Now I'm going to go over that one more time just to make sure that I get enough color on it. And if you watch my videos, you know that when I do any sentiments on the MISTI, I like to stamp them twice because I think you get a better professional look to them. It's just my opinion. Again, not everyone else's opinion, but it's mine. So it's not a big deal. I just want to make sure you knew that that's where it came from. Much better. Now that'll dry. It won't look so splotchy when it's dry. Might not look splotchy at all to you. I'm going to take this out as well, and I'll get our MISTI. Oh, gotta get a magnet back in there. Get our MISTI out of the way because we don't need it anymore. Now the next step, I thought what I would do is I would color in our, sorry, I had to grab a piece of acetate. I thought I would color in our wagon, but I didn't want to do it in big bold colors. I thought it would look better if we used a water brush. I wanted to make sure that when I did this that the colors wouldn't be really saturated, that they would look more like watercolors. That's what I'm trying to say. Jeepers creepers, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. So as far as colors go, of course our wagon has to be red, and so I have this clear piece of plastic here, and I'm just going to scribble on it with my marker. Any water-based marker will work. And then I'm using what's called a blender pen. Now a blender pen has a fluid in it that allows it to blend. Now wasn't that impressive? But it makes it so that your image is blended out and you can control the look of it with this solution. And so that's what we're doing, is we're just coloring in, and I can make it dark at the top, and instead of adding more solution, all you can do is just keep going down your image so that you still have red, but your wagon isn't as red as the top of your wagon. And we can add more red if we want to, and we probably will, to certain parts of it, because you want to make sure that you do your shading and make sure that it looks the way you want it to before you give up on it and go on to the next stage. Well, not give up on it, but you know what I'm saying. You go to the next thing you want to color. So we're going to just kind of quickly color in that. Somehow I got some black in there. I'm not sure how. I have that problem from time to time. And all you do, I'm going to do it on this paper so you can see it, to clean one of these brushes is you just scribble it off on a piece of paper and you're good to go. So I'm going to do a little bit more red over here and into the middle so that we have a red wagon. Okay, I'm going to scribble a little more red on there. Almost lost my red for a second. A little bit more red. I'm not for sure why I'm getting that black in there. Let me scribble that off. Maybe it's got black in it. I don't know. That's tricking me. I hate it when I'm tricked like that. Tricky little bugger. Okay, back to our wagon. I'm going to do the little handle. And I'm not sure if the handle of a wagon is red, but mine is. Doesn't make any difference to me if anybody else's is not red, but mine is. You know what I'm saying? Go with what you want. It's your colored project, right? A little bit more red up in there, because I like my wagon to have a little more red. Okay? Then, let's see. Let's scribble that off again. And we're going to go with one of our buckets. Well, one's a bucket and the other ones are pots. I guess I'll do a pot instead of a bucket. And again, I'm just scribbling it onto my acetate. Not like it's a... Let me get that out of the way because you know I'm going to end up having it all over there. It's not like it's really important that your acetate is any kind of particular kind. You can use as thin as will work for you. Just find a piece of plastic and run with it. At least that's what I do. I usually pull mine out of the packaging for stamps, and it works really well. Got a little pink bleed through there, I think. Well, that pot's got a little pink in it. Not a big deal. Then I'm going to go with this browner color for my bucket. I might even... That one doesn't want to put out any color brown. I have to get some more brown. I have to get another marker maybe. Well, let's see what we got out of that so far. See if we can get anything going off that piece. Well, maybe we have some brown. Maybe. We're shooting for it. Well, it's not as dark as we thought it would be, but it's brown. I'm going to get another brown and add it in there. It's like a brownish green, and it's called Soft Suede. And I really like this color in ink form. It's really pretty. So I'm going to use it around the top of that bucket, down the side. I'm going to use like a darkish gray, almost black on our wheels. Well, I apologize if I lost you. My camera cuts out every now and then on its own just for the heck of it, because it has a mind of its own. So if I lost you in my coloring process, I do apologize. But I just did the open dogwoods, so we're going to do a little bit of coloring on the insides of those. I'm just going to do... Well, I'm going to do that afterwards because I want to do that with the blender pen as well. So I think the next flower we're going to do is this brambly rose. That's a small brambly rose, and I'm going to do it. It's filled in, so when you use this, it's going to actually be completely filled in. Well, it's supposed to be completely filled in when you stamp it. This one has some open parts because it's a rose, so I'm going to play with that as I go. And I'm going to put another rose. And when we're done, after we're done stamping all of our flowers, what we're going to do is we're going to put in the colors around them. So that's the brambly rose. We're done with that one. The next flower I'm going to use is called a pink. So what color better than a pink for that? We're going to do that in a bright pink. It's called rose red. Obviously not pink. It's called rose red. Whatever. Going with it. I will probably have Rich fast forward through some of the coloring so that you don't have to endure a lot of me stamping and coloring and stamping and coloring. I just want to make sure that you get to see kind of the gist of this. And then after I do this, then I'm going to go in with some littler flowers, and our little flowers that I'm going to be using are these. This is called a pinwheel flower, and it's teeny tiny. So we're going to put that in. I want to have some fill before I put in my branch or my leaves. I just want to fill some extra spots, and the best way to do it is with something very, very small. Now let's get some leaves in. And for the leaves, I'm going to be using this color called Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to be using a leaf called Foliage Leaf. So it's just a generic leaf. It's not any kind of, it's not flower specific. Using my little marker to line it up and make sure I get it right where I want it. And if you think that you're doing badly with a project like this, and you think that that yours is looking terrible, just add more. The more flowers you add, the more leaves you should add. Just add so that everything lines up and that everything that it's filled. Because if you have it where it's just kind of dull looking because you didn't put in enough flowers or enough foliage, that's where your problem is. So just remember that you just don't want to have something that's really empty. The more empty it is, the less aesthetically pleasing I think it is. Only my opinion. Once again, I like to make sure I have things hang down over my pot as well. And I also have another branch I'm going to use for that. Let's see if I can get another leaf right in there. Okay, then I'm going to go with, I have this other greenery. It's called an evergreen branch. So it's just greenery, and I put it anywhere that I just need a little something to make, like I said, to fill. Filling any empty gap is your key to making this work really well. And I think also when you're doing the pots, going down over your pot, the side of your pot, I think that makes a big difference too. And make sure you always watch that line on this side if you really want to make sure that your flowers look correct. Making sure that that little line on the side is where it needs to be on the flower is so important. You'll really get frustrated if you start doing this and realizing that you didn't line that up, or you didn't put in the things that you needed to put in the places you needed them because you didn't remember to use that mark on this side. Now I have some green and some colors that are kind of just hanging around my plant. Don't worry about anything that's askew here. We're not going to worry about any of that. That's not our problem at this point. Okay, we're going to get our piece of acetate again, and this time we're going to go with some flower colors and make sure that our flower colors make us happy. I'm going to go with this purpley color and fill it in. I think that little wee flower I had, which is this one, I think I'm going to do it in some of the darker purple too. Okay, so there is our wagon. Now what I want to do is I'm going to get everything out of our way, and I'm going to put our card together. We're almost done. I'm sorry it's taken me so long, and hopefully you've not snoozed and haven't lost you in the process. I'm going to put down a layer. This is going to be a 10-inch by 7-inch card, which means it's 10 inches, but you score it at 5, so it's a 5 by 7 card when you're done. But you start out with a piece that's 10 inches across, long, and 7 inches across. Okay, I almost had that one right. And then we're just going to put this right there. Then I thought we would put this kind of right like that, and then see this junk, we're going to cover that up with our with our other stuff. Don't worry, I'll come up with a word in a minute. I think I'm going to put some little splotches of some green on there as well. So let's first we're going to back our You've Been on My Mind on a piece of this. So I'm just going to cut them. If you've never done your own banner before, here's how you do your banner. You take it and you cut directly into the center like that, and then from the side you go into the center, and from the other side, top, you also go into the center. And that's how you do a banner. Then when you want to put it on a backing like I'm going to do, this is how I do it. I'm sure there's a much easier way of doing it, but this is how I do it. First, I lay it on my piece, I center it on my piece I'm using, which is that piece. Then I take my scissors and I go up just a little bit more, cut toward the center, and then gotta go in a little bit more on that side. There we go. So there you have your banner. Okay, so I learned this from Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, and I've never actually done it on one of my cards, but I'm gonna, fly with it. You take your watercolors, and this is a water brush, and I'm using the green, and I already squirted out a bunch of green, well, water and green, and then you get your water brush really kind of saturated, and then you go above your card, and you just flick it like that, and whoa, don't leave me, and then you just keep doing this until you're happy with the amount of splatter you have on your card. And I have to do this top corner, and I want to do around, and that covers up all of our, we'll call it perfect imperfections. If you want to, you can do it on your banner as well, and I kind of like it, so I think I'm going to do a little bit more on my banner. Living on the edge. It does kind of flick everywhere, so if you aren't into having a big mess on your table, you might want to put a lot more paper down than I did, but I'm just forewarning. Okay, there is that. So we're done with that, and I'll clean that up later. Then all we're going to need to do now is build it up on some dimensional foam tape, and our work here is done. Going to put our wagon up almost to the top of our card, so that we have room for our sentiment. And I'm not going to raise the wagon. I'm only going to raise the banner. Whew, it was hard to get that out, wasn't it? That was almost too stressful. Let's see, how am I doing centering? Close enough. Should have room for that. And I think, let's see, maybe I'll cut a little bit off the edge of that just because it seems a little bit longer than I want it to be. We just got back from Washington, D.C., where we spent a long weekend with our two nephews and their families, and we had the best time because the kids are in their later teens, like 15 to 17, and they wanted to do crafts, and so we did a lot of crafts, and we did a lot of craft videos, and hopefully this will probably go up in the middle of some of my the videos that we did with the kids. But it was so much fun, and I just enjoyed being with them so much, and just they taught me all kinds of language, like the new slang that I had no idea what anything meant, and they thought I was hysterical because everything they said I had no idea what anything meant, and it was just really funny to realize how old I am. You know, you don't think you're that old until you spend some time with kids, and then you realize you're older than the hills, and you have no idea what anything they're saying means. It was really fun. Really, really fun. And they kept saying, "Do you know what this means?" And I'd be like, "Just assume I don't. Why do you keep asking? You know I have no idea what you're talking about." That was really cute. Learned a lot of words. Well, no, I didn't even learn them. I made up my own because I couldn't remember theirs, so I just made up my own. It was really fun. I had such a good time, and the kids are so nice and so sweet and so well raised, and just everything you would hope for in a lovely family. So we were really, really tickled, because Rich and I, well, if you don't know, Rich and I don't have kids, so I always tell people that I'm not good being around anybody's kids until their children are like 12, because then I can appreciate them and they can appreciate me, because I'm kind of crazy. And when they're little kids, they just don't understand what I'm talking about half the time. And the older kids like to make fun of me, which is great, because I'm all about having people tease me for not knowing anything. It was funny. Had a great time. Loved it. Okay, I put a big piece of foam adhesive to the back, and hopefully this will now make it so that we can line it up. And I think I'm going to line it up maybe with the edge of the card, like that. You've been on my mind. And there we have that. Let me get the envelope. Okay, before I forget, and I didn't want to forget, I want to put my stamp on the back that said, I made this for you. I bought a couple more stamps that are coming, and I hope you'll get a kick out of them as well, because I like to make sure my cards are distinctive on the back. And so you'll just have to wait for the surprise when those come, but they're kind of cute and fun. And I'm going to be putting just some, it's like pink and purplish washi tape on the back of my envelope, and that way my envelope matches my card. And I'll cut off that excess. I'm sorry that my card took so long. I hope that you didn't have to wait too long for it, and I hope that if you are interested in some new stamps, that you'll look into the new ones that the Peg Stamp people have. They're awesome. They're really good quality red rubber stamps, and I really like them. And I like my card. I hope you do too. I hope you give this a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.